September 10th, 2024 marked WarioWare Get It Together's 3rd year anniversary. Nobody cared, of course, but that's not a point I'm going to try to make in this video. Instead, I want to look at how this game fares as a standalone title, not comparing it to its brothers like I've done in past videos. So without further ado, let's give Get It Together a proper evaluation, 3 years later. The first point of interest comes from the pricing. $50 is pretty interesting considering most first-party Nintendo games go for at least $60, sometimes even higher. Is this because Get It Together has less content than the other Nintendo games? Well, to put it bluntly, yes. Even with all its modes, characters, and microgames, Get It Together just doesn't offer enough content to justify its pricing point. The main story campaign is like 3 hours long and it's pretty bare bones. The focus is obviously on the gameplay and there's nothing wrong with a short, lackluster story, but for $50, I'm expecting a lot more out of the meat and potatoes of Get It Together. But despite the steep price, there's definitely a lot of good aspects to take about Get It Together. For one, the gameplay is super addicting. It's fast-paced with very little downtime in between microgames. Hopping into a level is quick and easy. There's a ton of characters to choose from, which helps keep the experience fresh as every single microgame can be played with a different character. If there's one thing Get It Together has going for it, it's definitely variety. There's a plethora of different stages with their own flavor of microgames, or you can just play them all in the mix-it-up levels. The replayability present in Get It Together is just something else, man. It really makes up for the $50 price tag. The multiplayer aspect of Get It Together is a ton of fun too. Co-op is fully supported in the story mode and in the party modes. The party modes, at least in my opinion, are some of the greatest points of this game. They're all a blast to play and support up to 4 people. My personal favorite is the balloon one. If you're big into that sort of casual, fun multiplayer type of stuff like Mario Party and Mario Kart, then this party mode is definitely for you. Just note that Get It Together does not support any sort of like online multiplayer. Well, it does have this one function, but I'll get to that later. You know, while we're talking about all these extra modes, we might as well go over all the stuff Nintendo threw in, because, you know, why not? You already paid $50, right? The amount of stuff you can do with these little guys is honestly pretty neat. You can give them all sorts of cool crap, level them up, change their colors, and look at their spunky art. You can also do this if you really want to. Gambling is also here, which is always a nice addition to any video game. There's no such thing as addiction, only dedication. Missions are here too, which serve as the game's achievement system. You don't get much from completing them except for more gambling fodder. Lastly is the Wario Cup, which is the game's weekly challenge mode. Each week there's a new challenge to play. These challenges are just conditions and microgames you have to play to get a high score. The mode is cool, but I never really played it. This is the most online mileage you'll get out of this game, a leaderboard. Speaking of leaders, Benito Mussolini was the dictator of Italy from 1922 to 1943, and played a few musical instruments in his time. The music in this game is honestly something special. You're actually listening to it now, and I shouldn't have to tell you why it's so great, but I will anyways. The songs in this soundtrack are really funky, like they were made for a circus or something. Did I mention how much I love this game's art direction? Dude, everything looks so stupid, you can't take anything seriously here. Like, what even is this? Get It Together is a fun, charming title in the WarioWare series, and it's a great time, especially if you have a buddy or two to play it with. But I don't know, man, that $50 price tag is kind of hard to justify. The game has some replay value with the party modes, the Wario Cup, and of course, the break room, but these things don't provide as much substance as they should for a game that costs $50 freaking dollars. But ignoring the price tag, this game feels like an expanded version of an arcade cabinet from Dave & Buster's, and I love it. So in case it wasn't obvious, Get It Together is a fun arcade style game with a bunch of spunk, charm, friend potential, and a goofy soundtrack. If that sounds like a good time to you, and you're willing to spend $50, go for it, champ. But with all that being said, have a good one, and stay weekly.